Okay. So today we're going to start on this is Dalet Amud Beis, Hey Amud Beis. I have notes of it. No, we're up to Dalet Amud Beis. I'm sorry. Dalet Amud Beis. Dalet Amud Beis, the middle of the page. That's 4b by Gufa. We thank Hashem that we're playing Torah every day. In the schus of our learning, we should have the Beis Hamikdash immediately. Okay. It's the first word on the line. Gufa.
Which line?
The line that starts Gufa. You see it? At least in my Gemara, there's a line that starts Gufa.
Oh, yeah. Anan.
Yeah. Amar Rav Anan, Amar Rav Anan, Gufa, Amar Rav Anan, Amar Shmuel. Rav Anan says the name of Shmuel. Yisrael Mumar Laved's Kechavim. Let's say there's a Jewish person that he routinely davens, he worships Avodah Zarah, mutalechel mishchita, so he can still eat a shchita, even though he does Avodah Zarah. That doesn't mean that his food is going to be treif. It's a big chiddush, because he doesn't keep Avodah Zarah. If he doesn't believe in Hashem, nevertheless, okay.
Can he do meeting?
Yeah.
Yes.
I think we said about Mila that it was b'di'evet, yes, and not.
No, they have a song about Agala Chamo.
So Shekem Matzina b'Yeshafat Melech Yehuda Shenana Misudas Achav Shenemar. It was a big tzaddik. His name was Yeshafat. It was a big Rasha. His name was Achav. They happened to be related. I think Yeshafat was a son-in-law, maybe, of Achav, or a brother-in-law. I don't remember. They're related. Anyway,
Achav
is Izebel's husband. So Yeshafat goes to visit Achav, his relative, and by Yizbachu, and Yeshafat ate there. So Ne'emar, it says, "V'Yizbachu laYachav." Achav slaughtered for him Zayinu Vakar l'Roiv V'Lam Sharimai, flock and cattle in abundance, and for the people that were with him. Vayasiseo la'alis al Rames Gilad, and he convinced him that he should go to battle with him in Rames Gilad. Yeshafat and him were going to go to battle. So, and he slaughtered for him. Now Achav, we know, was Oved Avodah Zarah. He worshipped idols. And Yeshafat's ready to eat there. Gemara says, "V'dilma mizvach zavach mechal yachal." How do you know that he actually ate? All you know is that Achav prepared a meal for him. It doesn't say that Yeshafat ate. This is like that Menachem Begin story I told you. He didn't eat. So Vayasiseyu, it says Vayasiseyu ksiv. No, it says that he convinced him. Convinced him mean that he fed him food in order to get him to go, right? Is that how they translate it there?
They say
enticed him. B'dilma b'dvarim, maybe enticed him with words. Said, "Oh, you're going to do such a good job when we go to battle together." He convinced him. This ain't hasata b'dvarim. That's hasata, enticing isn't with words. Enticing is with the meal. V'loi, not with words. V'ksiv ki yisischa achicha. Says if your brother will entice you to worship idols, right? It says bachilu shtiya. Talking about no, when he called you to a goyish fabrengen, and over there he convinces you to worship idols. It says
first eat, then we'll talk.
Yeah. Vaksiv atisiseni by labalechinam. He convinced me to swallow him for this is a pasuk in Iyov. talking about Hashem, to destroy him for nothing. To convince me that means that Hashem doesn't eat. So it uses the word entice by Hashem. It says Lamai Lashan. Yeah, when you use it for Hashem, it's of course not talking about eating. It's talking about people. It's talking about that they fed them, which means that the Achav fed Yeshafat. V'dilma mishte ishti mechal layachal. Maybe he only gave him to drink. How do you know? Sometimes people go to these non-kosher restaurants for a business meeting and they only drink. They don't eat the food there. They have a soda or
I
something.
used to get the iced tea.
Yeah, they didn't eat. It says, Maishna, shtia, damni mumala, it's come to have a mumala chalaterakula. 1 second. Comes to drinking, you say that you're not concerned that it was idolatrous wine or something, even though he's a mumar for avedis kechavim. Achilanami, mumar lavedis kechavim, they have a mumar chalaterakula. So even if he only drank, but the fact that he's allowed to drink means that the person isn't a mumar chalaterakula. Means that he's not going to serve him something in the drink that's not kosher. So that would be a proof also that he's allowed to eat. No, 1 second. Just because he can drink doesn't mean he can eat. Shtia, when it comes to drinking, stam yenim. It's wine that you didn't see was poured for Avodah Zarah. It's called stam yenim. There's yayin nesach, that's wine that's poured for Avodah Zarah. And the stam yenim, it's regular wine. Just doesn't belong to the Yid. It belongs to the non-Jew. Regular wine. Stam yenim. Adayin le'nesa yenim shalav kechavim. When did we say that wine of a non-Jew is prohibited? That's by the students of Shammai and Hillel, that they made the decree that he can't have the wine of a non-Jew. Achav and Yeshafat is 1,000 years before I don't know, it's a full 1,000 years, but it's definitely 800 years before Shammai and Hillel. And Shammai and Hillel were in the time of the Beis Hamikdash.
0.
Huh?
Hillel was 0.
A year 0? So he was during the Beis Hamikdash, so it wasn't 800. It was less. But it's many years before, so and many years before, there was no decree. So that's why he's allowed to drink the wine. But maybe when it comes to food, when it comes to the shechita, we can say that maybe he's a mumala chalaterakula and he's going to feed him treif. Mar says on that question, you said that maybe you just gave him to drink. And we said we wanted to say that the drink would be kosher, but the food would not be. It says no. Obviously, he gave him to eat as well because because he wouldn't drink without eating. Now, when it says lav orcha de malka, the malka means the Yeshafat, right? Yeshafat would definitely have eaten, right? Is that what it says? It's not the way of a king. They're both kings. There's 2 kings here. There's Yeshafat, who's the king of Yehuda, and there's Achav, who's the king of Israel, right? It's not the way of a king. It's referring to Yeshafat. Yeshafat definitely would have eaten. Iba Yisema, it's funny that it uses that expression if you don't know if he's, even though it's Orcha de Malka, but if it's not kosher. Iba Yisema, Yizbach Vayisiseu Ksiv, Ma Yisata Bezvicha. Another way that we can be clear that Achav, that Yeshafat ate, because it says that he slaughtered and he enticed him. How did he entice him? With the slaughtering, with the food. So we see clearly that he ate. Okay, so far this is
we're saying
that a mumar.
did it.
One second, we didn't get mention about it yet. Now we're just holding by Yeshafat that Yeshafat ate from Achav's shechita. Why? Because a mumar for Avodah Zarah is allowed to shech. It's a proof to Rav Anan in the name of Shmuel. I'm going to ask the question, V'dilma Yevadia Zavach. We know that there was the head of the kitchen by Achav was a big tzaddik. His name was Avadia, right? And he was the head of the kitchen. So maybe when it says that Achav shechted, maybe it was Avadia that shechted. L'roif ksiv. Avadia lehavi sipik. It says that he slaughtered a lot. One person, Avadia, wouldn't have been able to slaughter a lot. You can slaughter one, two, but it says a lot. It must have been that it was more than just Avadia. The Dilma Shiva Salafim Zavuach. Maybe it was the 7,000 that slaughtered. It says that there were 7,000 people that did not bow to Baal. Maybe those were the people of Achav's court that did the shechita. It says Tmur having metamri Izevel. No. Those 7,000 were hiding from Izevel. Izevel would kill them, so they had to be hiding. They weren't coming out to do shechita. Dilma Gavri da Achav Habimalu. How do you maybe Achav's men were good people? So it was Avadia together with all the other workers there. That maybe Achav hired good people to work for him. It says Leisal Kadaita. You can't think that. We have a pasuk that says Meishel Makshiv al Dvar Sheker Kol Mesharsav Rishayim. The ruler that listens to the false testimony, all his workers are also wicked. So Achav's workers are going to be wicked also. Dilma Gavri di Yeshafat Nami La'avimalo. So maybe Yeshafat's men also were wicked. It says, and well, how would it work? Zvuach Gavri da Achav Achal Gavri di Yeshafat. Zvuach Avadia Achal Yeshafat. We'll do it like this. Achav's men slaughtered for Yeshafat's men, and Yeshafat had wicked people working for him. His entourage were wicked, and Achav's men were wicked, so they would eat from that meat. Who shechted for Yeshafat himself was a tzaddik. Avadia was a tzaddik, so they had it worked out perfectly. Avadia's slaughtering would go directly to Yeshafat. It says Leisal Kadaita. In order to explain that, you would have to say that the Yeshafat's men were wicked. Mi de Moishel Makshav al Dvar Sheker Kol Mesharsav Rishayim. Since if there's a wicked ruler, then all his workers are also wicked. We can understand from that if there's a tzaddik, then all his workers are tzaddikim, which would mean that Yeshafat's men were all tzaddikim. And how were Yeshafat and all his men eating? They were eating from Achav's men who were wicked. Eating from Achav's men, that meant that it was a proof to Shmuel that a mumar lavedus kechavim, you can eat a shechita. Perhaps maybe we can say like this, that Achav's men were also shechting, so it would work like this. Yeshafat's men were also shechting. It would work like this, that Achav and his men would shecht, and they would eat from that shechita. Yeshafat and his men would shecht, and Yeshafat and his men would eat from their shechita. It doesn't say specifically that Achav did all the shechita. It say that they were all slaughtering all together, and each one ate from their own shechita. It says, Yeshafat wouldn't have separated himself from Achav, because they were together in this. Minalan. How do we know? Ilema, if it's because we're on top of hay, 5-day. Ilema, if it's because it says in the pasuk, Kamaini kamecha kami kamcha. It says, Yeshafat says to Achav, my nation, I'm like you. My nation is like your nation. So Elameata kisusi kisuscha chinami. But it also says over there, you see, if he says that me and you are together, my nation is like your nation. If it's talking about eating the food, so then what does it go on? It says susi kisuscha. It says my horse is like your horse. It's talking about when they're going to battle. So Yeshafat agrees to go to battle. So if you want to say that pasuk is telling me that he was willing to eat his food, then what does it mean about the horse? My horse is like yours. What do you mean? We're going to eat the horse?
Isn't it susecha?
Kisusi kisusecha, like your horse is.
Shkaya.
Yeah, shikaya. Thank you. Achinam, you want to say it's about eating? Alamai dahavi asusecha tevi asu asusi. How do you say a plural? Singular, first person possessive, plural. Susai, asusai. Tevi asusai should be about my horses. So Hachanami Dahavi Allah v'iluya amach tavi Allah v'iluya ami. So what he means over here is not that I'm going to eat your food. No, it means that whatever's going to happen to you in battle will happen to me. Whatever's going to happen to your horse will happen to my horse. In other words, I'm with you in this battle. And that's not a proof that Achav wouldn't be doing, that Yeshafat won't be doing his own shechita. Allah mehacha. Rather, what's the source that they're together? They're not separating their foods. It says, "Melech Yisrael ve'Yeshafat Melech Yehuda Yeshim Ishal Kisei Melabashim Begadim Begoren Pesach Shashayman." It says that the king of Israel, with Achav, and Yeshafat, the king of Yehuda, are sitting each on his chair, wearing their clothing, at the Goren means a threshing floor, at the entrance of Shar Shimron. My Goren, what does it mean the threshing floor? Ilim Goren Mamash. If you say literally they're at the threshing floor, Atu Shar Shimron Goren Havi, is the gates of Shimron a threshing floor? That's like the back of the field, the threshing floor. Ella ki Goren, rather it's like a threshing floor. The Tanan that was taught in the Mishnah, Sanhedrin Haisa Kachatzi Goren Agula. The threshing floor was or the granary was a round area. So the Sanhedrin would sit in a semicircle. So that they should see each other. Oh, okay. So they want to be able to see each other. They're sitting together and they're talking. That means that they're together in this, and they're probably eating together also. Gemara says, I can bring a proof to Rav Anan that you're allowed to eat from someone that does Avodah Zarah. Says, "Va'orvin meviin le'lechem u'basar ba'beker v'lechem u'basar be'erev." Says that the ravens would bring to Eliyahu Navi to create a famine, right? And then he went into hiding. So when he was in hiding, how did he get food? It says that the ravens brought him food from Achav's kitchen. So he's eating the food. We know where the food was coming from. It was coming from Achav's kitchen. And who's eating of it? Eliyahu. It says Alpia Diba Shiny. Says that was Alpia Diba. Masha asks that maybe it was Avadia's food. No, that's a good question. Here we're bringing proof that he was allowed to eat from a Avodah Zarah, but maybe it was Avadia. The kitchen was kosher. How do you know that Avadia was the head of the kitchen? So there was Achav had a kosher kitchen.
Yeah, but
Did they comment on that? Is there a comment on that? But how do you know that the food was from a idolater? Eliyahu was instructed by God to go into hiding and was told, "I've commanded the ravens to feed you." He thus received special dispensation from God, allowing him to eat whatever the ravens would bring him while he was in hiding. Therefore, he cannot derive from here that the shechita of a renegade and idolat in regard to idolatry is actually permitted.
Can you eat stolen food? Can one eat stolen?
Not let us say bracha on stolen food.
So this food was stolen by the ravens.
Yeah. Maybe you didn't say bracha. Now, still, it's not answering the question.
Oh, maybe you just answer it. Because Eliyahu Navi would not have eaten the food without a bracha, certainly it wasn't stolen, which meant that this food Hashem had arranged would be prepared kosher for Eliyahu Navi, and the Arabian were just a shluchim that brought the food.
You don't have to answer that. You can say that what the ravens take, they're miyash right away.
If they know they're not getting it back.
Yeah, there's always food that's left over that the you see the pelicans by the boats when they're cutting the fish.
Stealing French fries from people.
So the ravens are taking.
Seagulls
Okay.
do not eat French fries near seagulls.
Seagull, not seagull.
In Levine.
So
Most
okay.
seagulls are Levine.
So what's our proof now? Our proof is that Eliyahu is eating from Achav's kitchen. Okay. So the Gemara says that's not a proof. Al Pia Dibur Shiny. That was a special heter. He had a special heter that he was allowed to eat from the kitchen. So one second. Ravina's coming up. The Gemara asks, "My Arvin." What does it mean? Ravens, Arvin. Ravina, Arvin Mamish. Ravina says that it was ravens, that it was literally birds that came. Okay, so now Hillel's commenting, but we have a question that it was Basar Shenesalim and Ayin. It's out of sight. Yeah. So how do they answer? That was before the decree. What do they? A special dispensation. Even though it's Basar Shenesalim and Ayin, it was allowed. Amalei Rabada Bar Minyumi Vidil Matre Gabri Davishmayu Arvim. How do you know? I don't know why this should matter, but it says maybe there were two people that their name was Arvin.
But he's saying that it's not ravens, but it's just people. Their name is.
Yeah, but who cares if it's ravens or not? He's eating. The fact is, it's still a proof. He's eating from Achav's kitchen. Well, the Gemara says, "Mila ksiv, vayargos erev betzur erev ezev v'gaimer," that there was a person that was called Erev, and so this would be two people with the same name. Their name was Arvim. Amalei Isrami Milsa de Tavayu Havishmayu Arvim. Is that?
Oh, that got rid of the dispensation clause because it was never not. It was Jews
Right.
who brought.
Right. So, Tosfos asked the question. Rav says Bashas and Salman Ayin is Aser. Okay. What Tosfos is asking is that originally the Gemara didn't realize that this was a special dispensation, so it was bringing it as a proof. So if there's no special dispensation, so then how are you allowed to? Then we have another issue. In other words, there was no. The question is asking on the Havamina. On the original thought that there was no special dispensation here, we have another prohibition that is Basas Shenesalim and Ayin. If it's a special dispensation, so then we know we've resolved the issue of Basas Shenesalim and Ayin because of this special dispensation. And then special dispensation, then we know you can eat from the Avodah Zarah's kitchen as well, because it's special. So once you know there's a special dispensation to take care of the Basar Shen Solomon Ayin, then you have the special dispensation that you lose your proof that you're allowed to eat from an idolater's kitchen, right? So we answer, the Taisus answers that we thought the special dispensation was only for Basar Shen Solomon Ayin, but not from the idolater's kitchen. When he answers that the special dispensation was for both.
Unless you use the other interpretation, it's not ravens, those guys.
Okay. So now it says maybe it's people. So the Gemara says would it happen that there were two people that had the same name? The Gemara says V'dilman Shem Makayman. Maybe they were just called that because they came from a place called Oirev. Milaksiv Baram Yatzigadudim V'yashvu Meretz Yisrael V'yishbu Meretz Yisrael Nara Ketana. It says Aram came out in Gedudim. It came out in groups of soldiers, right? No.
Sounds like that.
No, like God Gedud, legions and soldiers. And they captured from Israel, it says Nara Katana, a young girl. The Kashalan, we asked the question, Karla Nara. If you're calling her a Nara, that means she's a girl that's already reached maturity. But Karla Katana, but then you say that she's a minor. She didn't reach maturity. Amar of Pedas, or Pedas explains, it's Katana Demin Neurin, a young girl from a place of Neurin, which means that sometimes we can call a person by the place. So maybe Imkain, or so therefore we should say the same thing about Oirev. They came from a place called Tzur Oirev or something, and they said the two Arvim came, mean that the from the location. Yeah. So the Gemara says Imkain Arviyim Mibailei. It should have an extra yud there. Arvim would be ravens. Arviyim would mean people that came from Oirev. Okay, so it's the birds that are bringing it, and but it's still not a proof because this was a special dispensation. Maybe we can bring a proof to Rav Anan that says that you're allowed to eat from the shechita of a mumar la'avodas kechavim. Bring from the following. It says Hakol sheichtim. We have the Mishnah, the Brisa, that says that anyone can shecht. Afilu kuti, even a kuti. Afilu aral, even someone that didn't have a circumcision. Afilu Yisrael mumar, even a Yisrael, a Jewish person that's a sinner. That's a renegade. Hi aral hechidami. Who's this person without a circumcision? We're talking about that he has hemophilia, and his blood doesn't clot, and so we couldn't give him a circumcision. It says, Hi Yisrael Ma'aliyahu. That's not a sinner. There's nothing wrong with him. It's the doctor's orders. Ela pshita mumar la'aralis. Must mean that he's someone that refuses to have a bris because he's a mumar. He's a renegade. So the Gemara says, Ema Seifa, but then if you go further, it says, Rafil Yisrael Mumar, that even Yisrael Mumar, a Jewish renegade, is able to, how do they translate Mumar? Don't tell me they say Mumar in italics.
It's obvious.
It says renegade? Oh, renegade. Okay, so then, so we say afterwards a Jewish renegade. So why do you have to tell me before a Mumar la'aralis? Then it's the same thing twice. It says, Hey Chidami, what's the case? Who's the Yisrael Mumar? If you say that he's a Mumar for one thing, so then you just said already we have an example of that by the person that refuses to have a bris. It must mean that the Yisrael Mumar is a Mumar for idolatry, and it's following the opinion of Rav Anan that holds that even someone that worships idols is still allowed to eat his shechita. Gemara says, "Loi." It's not a good proof. Maybe the truth is that a mumar for avodah zara you can't eat a shechita. Damar mar, because we have a brisa that says chamur avodas chavim shekala kaifer ba kaifer b'chala k'maide b'chala terakula. It says avodah zara is so strict that anyone that denies avodah zara, it's as if he accepts the whole Torah, and the opposite would be anyone that accepts avodah zara, it denies the whole Torah. So that would mean that this is different. So the Gemara says, so what type of mumar is he when we say he's a renegade Israelite, a Jewish renegade? Rather, what we're going to say is that he's a renegade when it comes to kashrus. And that's the chiddush. Even though a renegade for bris, we already said, someone that refuses to have a bris, we said that he can do shchita. We didn't say a renegade for kashrus. So and here we're saying that even a renegade for kashrus, you could use his shchita, ukedarava, like Rava said, that even though we had Rava yesterday or 2 days ago, even though he'll eat non-kosher routinely when he's traveling, but when he has kosher food, he would rather have the kosher food. So therefore, if he has the ability for kosher, he's going to make it kosher. Meisvei, the Gemara has a question.
So is this like, I'm thinking back, this is still now, people who said we keep kosher in our house, but on the outside, we don't necessarily kosher.
Right.
Would that be consistent?
Yeah.
So if that guy owned a butcher shop, which was closed on Shabbos, but that's how he ate, we would trust his shechita.
According to Rava. Yeah. There was a book written by Zvi Hirsch Grudzinski, who lived in Omaha, probably in the 1920s, 1920, 1930. And he's writing it's the laws of kosher wine. In there, in his introduction, he has a thing about the people that go to work after shul on Shabbos. Are they considered Mechalei Shabbos? He goes to 3 levels. The people that they come back, they try to minimize how much malachas they do. There's people that go and he divided it up with which status each type of person had. Very historical.
I remember that in the 50s because everyone had to exist. I mean, at least in the Bronx where I was, and there was a lot of very different people. They go to work and then come back on the yarmulke.
Right.
They were super fun people, but they couldn't exist.
Survive.
They didn't work on shit. They had some rationalization.
Right. Well, the other people would lose their job every week.
Yeah.
Right? They would get fired every
like
week.
The lamb.
They replaced the lamb. Right. Okay. No.
How could they?
No, because the person didn't have a bris when he was younger for whatever reason. Now when he becomes of age, he's supposed to have a bris. Now he refuses. So at that point, he refuses. Maybe it means that oral doesn't mean that his children didn't have a bris. It means he didn't have a bris. Okay, Meisvei, the Gemara has a question. It says about bringing a karban. It says Adam kiyakar mikem karban. A person from you that will bring a sacrifice. It says mikem, from you, v'lei kolchem, but not all of you. Who shouldn't be bringing a sacrifice? Laitzias a mumar. It's excluding a renegade. Renegade shouldn't be bringing a sacrifice. Mikem, the Gemara explains. The Brisa says, "B'chem chalakti v'lei b'umesh." It's only by the Jewish people that we divide it up. Let's say some of you could bring, some of you can't bring, but v'lei b'umesh. But by the nations of the world, we don't divide it up. They're all in one boat, one category, and if they're allowed to bring, then they could bring. It's only by the Jewish people we say a renegade not. Mina behema says from animals. Lahavi b'nei adam shadaim la behema. It's coming to include people that are similar to animals. Mikan, from here we see Mikan Amru Mikablan Kavanas Beish Yisrael. It seems to be self-contradictory. The Gemara is going to ask in a moment. First you say a renegade can't, and now you tell me that you can. People that even the sinners. So that they should repent. Except for a mumar, someone that pours wine for Avodah Zarah, and someone that's machal Shabbos for Hesed. The Gemara says Hagufa Kasha. You just contradicted yourself. Amrit mikem v'lei kolchem. First you say that from you and not all of you. Like yes a mumar. And then you tell me that you can accept from a sinner. That's not a question. Why? Because Reisha is mumar l'chol terakula. When we said not a mumar, we meant a mumar, someone a renegade that doesn't keep anything in the Torah. Mitziyasa is mumar l'davar echad. But
So
the middle one,
none of them are mumar lahachas.
is a mumar, is a, no, we didn't say a mumar lahachas, yeah, I don't think. Did we say, is a mumar l'chol terakula lahachas?
Well, you just agnostic.
Okay, now, just 1 second. So what are we holding? We're holding now is that a mumar l'davar echad, you're allowed to accept a karbanos from him. Ema seifa, chutz min a mumar menaschas yan mechal shabbos ferasya, except for a mumar and someone that pours wine and mechal shabbos. Hi mumar hechidami. What type of mumar are you referring to? Imam l'chal terakula. If it's mumar l'chal terakula, hainu reishi. We already spoke about him in the first case, where we said that you don't accept from him. Imam l'davar echad. If he's a mumar just for one thing, he's a renegade. He doesn't keep one halacha. So kashmit siyasa. Then it's a question from the middle case where we said you are allowed to accept kabbanas from him. Elalav hachikamer must mean that chutz min mumar lenasich asiyan alachal shabbos beferhesia. That means which mumar don't we allow is someone that's that pours wine for idolatry, or he's mechal shabbos beferhesia. Now we're seeing that alma mumar lavetz chavim mumar lachal terakula. We're seeing that no, someone that's a mumar for idolatry is like a mumar lachal terakula, which means that he should not be accepted. Tifta the Ravanan, this will leave us with a question on Ravanan, that how could Ravanan say that a mumar for Avodah Zarah he could still eat a shchita? Turns out for Avodah Zarah means that he's out. The Gemara says, "V'ha mehacha nafka." This halacha that you don't accept the karban from a mumar, you learn it from here. Mehasam nafka. We have a different source. The source is Me'am Haaretz. It says when it comes to bringing a karban chatas, it says if someone sins, it says that you bring from people, someone from the nation. Am Haaretz it's called. So, and from the nation of the land, they would bring a sin offering if they sinned unintentionally. Prat l'mumar. It's coming to exclude someone that's a mumar. Reb Shimon ben Yossi Amri Mishum Reb Shimon. Ben Yossi says the name of Reb Shimon. I guess that Reb Shimon ben Yochai. Asher lei te'asena b'shkaga v'ashem. Hashav midiyasai. Maybe karban al shegasai. Yeah. And he says almost the same thing. Reb Shimon says that who should be bringing a karban chatas? Only someone that would retract from doing the aveira if he knew that he was doing the aveira. In other words, only someone that did it. It doesn't matter if it's unintentional. There needs to be one more step. It has to be that if there would have been an awareness, he would have stopped. You can't have a non-religious, a non-observant, a renegade rather. You can't have a renegade person saying that I violated Shabbos by mistake, so therefore I'm bringing a karban. Because he, meanwhile, drives on Shabbos. Right? It's only if he would have stopped, had he known it was Shabbos, then that's okay. So here we're saying, first we say a mumar doesn't bring a chatas. Now we're saying that someone that would have stopped, he's the one that brings a chatas, but not someone that wouldn't have stopped. So the Gemara asks, "My binayu, what's the difference between these two opinions?" We have a person over here that he is a mumar, that he eats non-kosher fat. But that wasn't his sin. His sin was that he ate blood. So according to the Tanakama, he's a mumar, so he shouldn't be bringing a karban chatas. According to Reb Shimon, he still would have stopped from eating the blood if you would have told him it was blood. He didn't know it was blood. So he should be allowed to bring the karban, according to Chada bechatas, bechada be'oila utzrichi. So the Gemara says, why do we need a source that says a mumar doesn't bring a karban if we have another source that a mumar doesn't bring a karban? Gemara says that no, our source is that the reason why we have two sources is because one is for a chatas and one is for an oila. Utzrichi. And it's necessary. Diashmin and Chata, Sifu would only tell me by a Chata that he doesn't, a Mumar doesn't bring a carbon Mishum Del Kaparu because it's an atonement. But an Ayla, which is just a gift, you say, okay, a gift we'll accept. Diashmin and Ayla, if we bring an Ayla Mishum Del Chiyuvo, because there's no obligation. So that's why he doesn't, it's just a gift. But for an obligation, maybe we should say, okay, we should still accept it because it's an obligation to bring it. So it's his obligation. We have to help him get through his obligation. So tzricha tells us that we don't accept from him. The Gemara says anywhere where it says behema, we said that what's a behema? Mina behema. You bring from the animals, and we say what does it mean? Animals it means people that are similar to animals. You're allowed to accept a carbon from them. We said who was that? That was a mumala davar echad. Interesting because according to Reb Shimon, it looks like a mumala davar echad you can't accept. Brisa said that you can accept. Okay, whatever the case is, we use the term behema and we're making it look like it's like a negative thing. People that are behave like animals. Is anywhere where it says the word behema, it's a negative connotation. Vaksiv adamu behema tishi Hashem. It says Hashem saves man and animal. Vam Rav Yehuda Amar Rav Elu bnei Adam sheim marum b'das misim nasim kebehema. These are people without knowledge, and they make themselves low. Misim nasim kebehema. What does that mean? Does it say that it means they're humble?
Yes, it's humble.
Humble. So it's a positive thing. It says Hasam ksiv Adam ubehema. Over there it says man and animal. So we can get the positive. But hacha behema l'chudei ksiv, over here it says animal alone. That would just be negative. B'chol heicha d'ksiv Adam behema al yusi. So now you're telling me where it says Adam behema, automatically it's positive. But ksiv is zeratius basis shel zera Adam and zera behema. Over there it says man and animal. It says I will plant in Israel the seed of man and the seed of animal. And over there it says that the seed of animal is someone that's like a boar or something, right? An ignoramus. So it says, so we see that even though it says man, it's still behema is something negative. It says hasam hachalke kra zera adam l'chud v'zera behema l'chud. Over there it's actually divided into two categories. So you have adam on one side, you have behema on the other side. That's why it would be negative. Okay, let's leave it over here. We're up to Amar of Simon. See, it says Simon Niklaf. Amar of Chanan by Yaakov Baridi. Okay.
Did that piece by Rabbi when they first in Rabbi Shimon, is that after he came out of the cave?
I think after. Because it would say Reb Shimon by Yochai before the cave. I think Reb Shimon, I think it says it's after. Yeah, have a good day, everyone.